equitable development. In studio, I'm being joined by Kelvin Sanga, who is an economist. Mr. Kelvin Sanga, good morning, and it's good to have you on the Daylight Breakfast Show.
Thank you so much. Good morning, dear viewers.
Now, from recently, the things that have been happening recently, the minister from different sectors have been relieved of their duties to start with Honorable Garin Kombo as well as Dr. Elijah Muchima. How can the government balance merit-based appointments without compromising efficiency?
Well, it's important first of all to put things in context, especially when we know that Zambia's got a diverse population in terms of tribal lines as well as cultural basing factors. And it's also important to see that for us to create a good ambience for national unity, it's important to look into the fabrics of social order and many other aspects. So reflecting to your question, I think it's important to say that it's always important to look at the most critical component of competence, versus also issues of tribal lines. And again, it's very also important to say that somehow it's an embedded ethical aspect to see that we also look at developing national factors using a different route altogether, especially when you look at the way things should be able to span out from there. The standard practice is that we also just look at qualification, which is quite an important aspect. But in the midst of all this, there must be a silent mind to look at how best can I get everyone on board, creating that inclusive participation. And again, it calls for a reflection that need to be done from there. So governance is about looking wider and also tapping pooled talent from different sources from that perspective.
Now let's talk about an equal representation. What are some of the major risks of perceived unequal representation in governance structures?
Okay, so maybe the context also can also be drawn again similar to this case, where we should be able to say that there's a need for us to have a regional representation of some sort with a complemented aspect of qualification, because that should be emphasized. We don't just go to take maybe, for example, somebody from Copper Belt, particularly in rural area, Lambaland, to just put them there. There must be also a complementarity aspect of skills which should be able to enhance our competence, which should be able to actually interplay into governance structure and system. We are not promoting any iota of tribal politics or tribal appointment in any case, but there must be that unit of purpose. The whole scenario is that when you work in unison, it also gives more motivating commitment to actually even get more effulgence of good governance. Because you see, the framework is, if I'm coming from a certain area, for example, where people perceive to say, I'm part of them, even when it comes to understanding certain local problems, might be able to be much more easier to actually get done certain projects. And much more, even when it comes to project assessment, it will be much easier for me to actually, speak into what these people are facing, especially even typically going into their respective languages that they understand from that point. So it calls for that, and I think it's also an important aspect to say that for us to foster stability, unity of purpose, and much more aspect of well-balanced aspect should be able to actually cultivate from there. So it's important.
So the issue here is that maybe one should be employed based on where they're coming from.
Not necessarily.
In an instance, maybe I'm coming from Southern Province, then being a journalist, I should be working for a media house in Southern Province because equal representation. Make me understand of that.
No. What I'm trying to say is that Zambia being a diverse nation which has got a lot of multiple ethnic groups, it's just an important aspect that we should just look at. First of all, a qualification is required. It's top priority in any case, then we need now to look at how best can I also bring in somebody who's maybe a better understanding the patterns, cultural patterns of this region, so that it's easier for you to embed good governance as a national focus. Because you see, for you to develop this country, you need to also understand the local needs of different parts. For example, if our current president doesn't understand Ruapula province, and he doesn't have anyone from Ruapula, it becomes relatively difficult. Maybe he can select somebody to be in charge of Ruapula who is not able to understand the local complex factors from there. So it's important to align competence and again local presentation, which should be able to speak louder from that perspective.
So even if you're getting that position, you have to be qualified.
Qualified, yes.
I get you.
It should be a balancing between competence and inclusiveness. Yes.
Wonderful. Now, can inclusive governance directly influence economic growth and national productivity?
Yes. When you are, calling each other for unit of purpose, and you've created that stability balance, definitely, even at a larger scale standpoint, for example, Zambia is guided as doing very well on the macroeconomic fundamentals, meaning there is holding of peace from all areas. And this is what actually even now speaking to say, look, we need to go much deeper into what we're trying to develop, especially when it comes to social order. When there is social order, you expect unit to command growth, productivity, and much more, even looking at a better way you can also be responsible in terms of transparency as well as accountability. So all these factors will be able to push into a productivity scale, meaning when you are holding up, just like the way maybe you're working here, there could be somebody who's Lunda here, there could be somebody who's Bemba here. So when you hold together, represent each other, even when it comes to your communication to your respective tribe, it will be easier for you to actually interpret certain things. And it's much easier even for people that are inclined to your tribe to actually start commanding respect and create that harmonization spirit to say, since we've got somebody also who's representing us from our tribe in a way, but it's not something that should be able to emphasize, because there's a thin line now. Because as we go around, the issue of representation, it also has a very serious implication. If we tend to go by what basically happens sometimes, you find that being a Bemba, I want to work with only the Bemba people, which is a very bad situation for the case of developing economic factors. It requires that you need to have different people interplaying to your governance structure, so that if I know that Mapachiza has got some minerals, maybe a person who understands the whole entire region very well and is also competent is able now to interplay. Because you see, it's like what happens at national level. If somebody is appointed as a minister in charge of certain portfolio, because of frequenting their own place, for example, he stays in Mansa or he stays in Ruapula, they tend to develop where they frequent mostly and where they know better. So if I am coming from that region, I want to see certain things being developed. So it's the same thing with what should happen in the case. When you have everyone coming from different regions, they will also want to champion development in their respective regions, and that is very important, which should actually be able to, sit in that. Maybe just to reflect back,
please.
Our late president, Keke, his philosophy was to basically bring everyone together from different parts of Zambia to actually put within or to interface into the governance system from different angles. And it is important that we need also to look at this to create harmony and also to advance national unity. It's important also to look into those, to say, even if it so happens that other people can think of it otherwise, it shouldn't be the case. What we should be able to build here is a situation where we put Ammon together. I know that my brother is coming from Lambaland, my brother is coming from Tongaland, my brother is coming. So that is a unit which you need to when you identify such unity of purpose, it even creates more stability to the economy.
Even as we conclude this interview, Mr. Chisanga, would love to find out what are some of the key indicators that can be used to assess whether government appointments are both on merit and inclusive.
Okay, so we understand that there is an aspect of political patronage because I supported a party. I need to be in power. I need to be part and parcel of the appointing, authority. Those are issues that you can also tend to see as key parameters that indicate there. But again, in terms of just overall scenario, pointing to your question, I think it's important to look at it in a different way, where education should be one of the key emphasized aspect, experience should be part of it, and much more, even just understanding in terms of competence around your portfolio, and even with regards to positions that you are given. And again, understanding the whole environment in regards to the operational tentacles of what you want to undertake. Then the aspect of just understanding also the social side of things.
Under 10 seconds.
Yeah. So the social aspect also is very important. So what I should be able to conclude in this is that balancing meritocracy as well as the regional representation or inclusiveness, it's something that is very important for governance, so that we don't see other regions being left out from development processes. It's important to look at it to just balance up the key actors, so that the governance system should be well balanced, and trust can also be sustained from there.
Mr. Calvin Sanga, thank you very much for finding time to talk to us this particular morning.
My pleasure.
I was joined by Mr. Calvin Sanga, who is an economist, as we are talking about safeguarding long-term economic issues, as well as making sure to say the appointments that are being made are both made on merit, as well as being made in the in the context of being inclusive. I've been your host. My name is Mike Mwendesa. We'll be back tomorrow 07:30 hours. Thank you very much for watching us. You are indeed our greatest stakeholders in all of this. And on that note, we say good morning and have a lovely day.